And this is Chris Myers' 300th consecutive game. Jason Hansen to kick it off. And back deep is Percy Harvin.
Watch out.
Who is making a lot of waves and possibly becoming the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. Here we go. Harvin backs up, takes it from the 1. Busted straight ahead and gets up close to the 30-yard line. And here comes Brett Favre. Vikings start from the 30.
Green 80! Green 87!
Off the play fake, the end around to Harvin. Led by Jeff Dugan. And he gets up to the 37-yard line. A pickup of 7 on the play.
Go!
The Fahutahi in at fullback.
Green 80's hot!
Off the fake. Favre finds Bernard Berrien. And he's brought down at the 49. That's a first down. In their first meeting of the season, Favre was 23 for 27 against the Lions.
Well, they're going to be heavily challenged. They got matchup problems. He's just going to run a curl. He's going to sit down right in the soft spot of the zone. And Brett Favre just finds him. I mean, they run an out route in front of him, which carries the linebacker out. He turns around in the curl, and that's easy pickings for Brett Favre. And you look at Detroit this year, they have been the easiest secondary to throw on. Look at the opponent's QB rating, up over 107.
Gets 3 wide receivers. He split the tight end as well. Everybody out. Favre gets time. And he finds Vicente Shenko, the tight end, and he's got a first down inside the 40th to 38-yard line. DeAndre Levy made the tackle. Favre comes out sharp.
And not surprising. I think one thing about this offense and with Brett Favre and talking to Detroit and those players that actually did a decent job week 2 against him is Brett Favre's completely different now. I mean, this offense, early in week 2, it was dink and dunk. He was still getting used to the nuances. The playbook absolutely wide open for Favre right now, tough to defend.
Chester Taylor in at running back. Taylor cuts it back, nice hole. Gets down to the 35-yard line. Pickup of 3, maybe 4 on the play. And the personnel rotation continues for the Vikes.
Yeah, Brett Favre doing a couple things there under center. Just shifting his hand around. And what I'll tell you, defenses, and defensive linemen in particular, because they can see that guys on the inside, is they're always looking for tips to see if Brett's giving something away before the ball gets snapped. I didn't see anything there.
Peterson back in. They go with 2 tight ends, Kleinsasser and Shenko. Shenko's in the slot.
58!
Blitz coming. Peterson trying to get outside, broke 1 tackle, and gets down to the 31-yard line. Boy, the Vikings really mixing it up. Favre has hit a couple of passes to start. They've run Chester Taylor, now Adrian Peterson.
Watch Jason Hunter here. You're going to bounce it all the way out. Jason Hunter does a pretty good job of keeping his outside shoulder free, but doesn't make the tackle. That's the thing about Adrian Peterson, is you have to defend the whole field with that dude. I mean, you're going to see backside corners having to make plays. His ability to cut back with his vision, Sam, and then to bounce it out, as you saw there, is very uncanny.
Chester Taylor back in on 3rd and 3. Favre out of the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up. And wide open, Sidney Rice. Cole Simpson took him down at the 11-yard line. As I mentioned, Sidney Rice, the leading receiver on the Vikings, has become Brett Favre's go-to guy. When he needs a big pickup, he goes to him. Flag on the play.
Number 96, defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
On Andre Fluellen.
And there's been mental bust. Watch Hobbs here. Harvin's going to get it there, but certainly Hobbs, who's the nickelback, bust here. You got 2 guys coming up to cover Percy Harvin, and Sidney Rice makes it easy, just running that little dig route to the middle of the field.
Favre starts the game 3 for 3 from the 11. Peterson cuts it back inside the 5 and down to the 3-yard line. Jim Schwartz, the rookie head coach of the Detroit Lions. This has been a tough first year.
I'll tell you someone who's really improved right there, the right tackle, 2nd-round pick, Phil Loadholt. Just look how big he is. I mean, he had one arm, pops up on Cliff Averill, and then goes and washes out a linebacker.
On second down, 2nd and 3, and they stop the play.
I think Klein saw
false start.
Yeah, I think it was
false start. Number 40, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That'll change things for the Vikings. It's been a good drive. Favre has mixed it up nicely. 3 for 3 passing.
Tell you who to watch out for down in this part of the field is Visante Shenko.
You're right.
The tight end.
6 touchdowns. And look at the numbers.
Look at
this
that.
is in the red zone for Brett Favre. Ball's back at the 9-yard line.
Shenko.
Here comes the blitz. Favre gets rid of it, and it's broken up. Nice play by William James down at the goal line.
And Brett wants to have that one back because that was not one of his better throws. And he had singled up coverage over there on the backside. We see Baring just run the slant to the goal line, and Brett throws it behind him. Doesn't lead the receiver enough and let him run to the football, which gives Will James the opportunity to get a bat down.
Gunther Cunningham dialing up a lot of blitzes for the Detroit Lions. He's the defensive coordinator.
Well, that's one thing they'll do, and they're not going to, if they're going to die, they're going to go down swinging because they do turn up the pressure for a defense that's not very good.
Peterson and Tahi in the backfield on 3rd and 8. Peterson inside the 5, and they stop him. So the penalty winds up hurting the Vikings as they will be forced to settle for a field goal.
A little bit surprising, as good as Brett Favre is down in the red zone, and the call from Brad Childress there, the head coach, to run Adrian Peterson on a draw. Now you're reduced to kicking a field goal and trying to get 3 points. Brett is so lethal down there, and they've got so many weapons and matchup problems. Sam, I'm surprised they didn't put that one in the air.
This field goal try is from 23 yards. Chris Cooley, the holder, and Ryan Longwell puts it through. Back at the Mall of America field, you look at the kickoff coverage team of the Minnesota Vikings, led by Heath Barwell, who's been outstanding coming back from a couple of years with injuries. Kenny Anatolu has been outstanding as well. Derek Williams for the Lions from the 1 yard deep in the end zone. Big hole in the middle, and he's tripped up as he crossed the 25-yard line. Vikings go on offense, led by the number 1 pick overall, 21-year-old Matthew Stafford. You see his numbers last week, 5 interceptions, which helped the Lions go down to defeat. Big rush right away, and that pass incomplete. Busting through Kevin Williams. Receiver Carl Payman is at 5th defensive back for the Vikings. Nice hole. Kevin Smith busts through. Takes it outside, gets up to the 40-yard line. Kevin Smith, who ran very well against the Vikings in their first meeting this season. Good first run here.
Well, and a couple of things. 2 blitzers. One goes here, and then E.J. Henderson's going to come there, and nobody gets to the outside gap. You see, you had 2 linebackers up inside. Look at the crease. There it is for Kevin Williams, and as you said, did have good success against this Minnesota defense, who have had trouble, Sam, defending the run.
Lions ran for 129 yards in that first meeting, 94 in the first half. Stafford in trouble, and he's on his way down as he threw the ball. Ray Edwards with big-time pressure. Everybody hears about Jared Allen, who is tied for the league lead with 10.5 sacks, but Ray Edwards is having an outstanding season.
Right there, the unsung hero against Gosder Charalis, and Gosder doesn't even block him. They're turning protection the other way, which means they're sliding everything. That's a Jared Allen factor right there. They're sliding everything to Jared, which means Ray Edwards gets matched up on a back. Jerome Felton will have, if they do that 10 times, Ray Edwards will beat him 10 times.
3 wide receivers in for Detroit. Derek Williams in again, as Stafford works out of the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Inside handoff to Kevin Smith. Good hole created up front in cornerback. On 3rd and 3, the Lions go with 3 wide receivers. Stafford dealing with a lot of noise. He has time, and he throws and completes it to Calvin Johnson at the 46-yard line. Nice throw. Boy, he's got a nice fluid motion.
Oh, he's
really
got great skills. He's got great skills now. It really is a shame that Matthew Stafford got hurt against Chicago, Sam, when he was playing his best football. And he and Calvin were starting to get on the same page. You know, these two haven't practiced a lot. You can go all the way back to training camp. Hard for your quarterback and your #1 wide receiver to have great chemistry and rapport when they don't get a lot of practice reps together because of injury.
Calvin Johnson had a thumb problem. Here's pressure from Ray Edwards again. Stafford gets away and throws, and it looks like it was incomplete. He was out of bounds. Will Heller in as a second tight end, second and 10. Fred Evans in on the defensive line for the Vikings. Stafford short drop. That pass pops in the air through the hands of Calvin Johnson, incomplete. Benny Sapp covering on the play. Calvin Johnson coming back last week from a knee injury.
And was not right in that game last week, and you could see it. I mean, this guy has the ability to be the best in the National Football League, and he doesn't usually drop balls like that. Perfectly thrown by Stafford, and if they're going to give Calvin that off and soft coverage, he'll be happy to run those slants all day long. He's just got to catch the football.
Maurice Morris in at running back for the Lions. 3 wide receivers. A lot of hand signals. Stafford. Pressure from Jared Allen. The pass is caught, but short of the first down by Derek Williams at the 40-yard line. Jared Allen was coming hard.
How do they deal with crowd noise today? Watch Stephen Peterman, the right guard there. Usually it's the center that's looking back at the quarterback. Look at Raiola. He's got his head up. He's trying to see what the defense is doing. Now you got the right guard who's looking back. Now he's going to see, okay, quarterback's ready. Tap the center. Silent count's ready to go, and then Raiola snaps it. And what that helps Raiola do is he never has to take his eyes off the defense. Very, very important in protection, declaration on who you're going to block in terms of who's coming.
Had a look at Darius Raynaud. First game since week 3 when he hurt his hamstring against San Francisco. Nick Harris's punt bounces inside the 10. The Lions cover it well. And there's a flag down back at the 42-yard line. A couple of flags. And we'll find out what it's all about.
Offside, number 96. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
Oh.
First down.
How about that? That's on Brian Robinson, who came across too soon, and it gives Jim Schwartz's Detroit Lions a first down.
And there's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. You don't have a block on. He's right in the middle of the. Got to have your eye on the football. Watch Robinson there. Yep. He's right over the center. I mean, how do you do that? Especially when it's 4th and 4 and you know you give up 5 yards, it's an automatic first down, and they're in your end of the field. Not a smart play by Brian Robinson.
So the Lions get a break, and they now have a first down at the Vikings 35-yard line. Pat Williams back in at defensive tackle.
And Robinson knows better than that,
yeah.
Sam. He's a defensive lineman. He's a guy that looks at the football to have his get off in anticipation off in the snap count.
2 tight ends in. They hand it to Kevin Smith. And he tried to get back to the line of scrimmage, but came up short. Vikings show blitz. And, that was almost a fumbled snap. It looked like Stafford wanted to step back and check off, and Raiola snapped the ball.
That's exactly what happened, and I think it was the mug up by the linebackers as the linebackers were playing games and stepping up into the gaps. You can watch as now the linebackers have stepped up. Now he's going to step out, Stafford, I think, to call something else. And Raiola just snaps him the football. They're lucky that one wasn't down on the carpet.
Brian Robinson back in, replacing Pat Williams. It's 3rd and 12 for the Lions. Kevin Smith splits out, the running back. Now he shifts back. 3 wide receivers. The handoff to Smith. Cut it back. Gets down to the 30-yard line. They are in field goal territory, but taking no chances were the Vikings because a lot of their interceptions and turnovers have come in 3rd and long situations.
Well, all 5 for Matthew Stafford were in 3rd and longs last week, and that's been a big problem with this offense is not just the 3rd and 6 plus, which is a problem for most offenses around the league, but when you start talking about 3rd and 10 plus, 3rd and 13, 14, 15. Almost impossible to be able to convert those situations.
48-yard field goal try. Nick Harris, the holder. Don Muhlbach, the long snapper. Jason Hansen, 11 for 13 this season. The kick on the way is outside the upright, no good. This is doubleheader day on Fox. Lots of good football. Most of you will see the Cowboys and the Packers following this game. Some of you will see the Eagles in San Diego. Others will see Seattle and Arizona. Favre on first down. Outside to Sidney Rice. And he's wrestled down by William James. The pickup to the 46, 47-yard line. Pickup of 9 on the play.
I think when you look at Sidney Rice, he's got Randy Moss type skills. Now, he's not quite as fast when you just talk about that long speed, but guy with great range, hand-eye coordination, can catch the ball out of the frame, is an absolute sponge, as Brad Childress said. You see George Stewart there as wide receiver coach. George has been outstanding with that whole group of wide receivers. And I'll tell you, Sidney Rice has become the lead dog.
Afahu Tahi at fullback leads Adrian Peterson, who's got a first down up to the 49-yard line. Good blocking up front.
Watch Brett Favre and just the experience and the skills. He's going to fake it right here. He's going to give it to Adrian and then fake it to the reverse. And what he's doing there is he's trying to hold that backside defensive end. You saw him come out. They ran a reverse early to Percy Harvin. Really all they're doing, number one, hoping to get a big play out of it. But number two, Sam, hoping to widen out that defensive end so he has to play the reverse. And watch how that opens up creases for Adrian Peterson later in the game.
Joe Cohen in at defensive tackle for the Lions. 2 tight ends for the Vikings. Off the fake, Favre with time. Wanted to go deep and go short instead to Sidney Rice, who's down to the 30-yard line. Pickup of 21 on the play.
And this is what Favre was talking about with the ball skills and the ability to go get it out of frame, which means it's not right on him. This ball's a little high. Couple things. Brett does a great job of stepping up in the pocket. And then look at him break it off right in front of the zone. Throws it high. Rice is able to go up and get it. He doesn't let that ever. You watch him, he's a guy that never lets the ball hit his pads. He always goes up and catches it with his hands.
A nice blitz pickup by Adrian Peterson allowed Brett to have time to make that pass.
Go! Alert! Look 58! Look 58!
It's Peterson, and he cut it back beautifully, and he's tripped up. Otherwise, he's going all the way. He's down to the 15-yard line. Boy, does he make beautiful cuts in the hole.
Well, wow. he knows that Steve Hutchinson, more times than not, is going to wash out that backside defensive tackle. Watch Hutch get him blocked down. Peterson goes this way and cuts it right back. Oh, yeah. McKinney and Hutch just absolutely washed Joe Cohen about 4 yards down the line of scrimmage. That opens the vision lane for Adrian Peterson, and he exploits it.
Gain of 13 down to the 17-yard line. Peterson shifts back, takes the handoff, and pitches it back, and it's missed. And it's recovered by the Lions. They tried a little fancy schmancy play in the backfield, and it didn't work. They've charged Adrian Peterson with a fumble, his 3rd fumble of the season, but it's a bad toss to Percy Harvin.
He's great at a lot of things, but handling the football to me isn't one of them. I mean, that thing was out of sync. We talked about the gadget plays in the open. A couple things, either hand it off with your left hand or pitch it with your left hand, but to try to throw it across your body to Harvin, you could see the location was terrible.
Jimmy Kennedy in at defensive tackle for the Vikings. Lions start from the 29 off the fake by Stafford. Rolling and looking. He's going to run with it and takes it out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Flag on the play.
I think they're going to get a peel-back block on Brandon Pettigrew on Chad Greenway. Out of nowhere, back to the line of scrimmage. And he hits Chad Greenway and puts him on his back.
Matthew Stafford, who suffered a knee injury early October.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 84, offense, 15-yard penalty, 2nd down.
The rookie tight end, he plays hard and tough, but that's a bad play and a bad penalty.
Well,
to take.
Point of emphasis, there's Greenway right there, and you'll see 84. The play's over, and he just comes out of nowhere and takes a cheap shot, and he's headed back towards the line of scrimmage. So That's the exact play that the league does not want to happen anymore, and that's why it's been a point of emphasis around the NFL. That's an easy call for the officials.
So instead of the ball at the 35-yard line, the Lions are back at the 20. Kevin Smith and Maurice Morris, both running backs in the lineup, and Morris goes in motion. Stafford wants to throw the screen and throw it away as he was rushed big time by Ray Edwards. Ray Edwards is all over Matthew Stafford thus far in the game. Stafford gets up slowly. The head coach of the Lions, Jim Schwartz, looks on.
Yeah, they're trying to tight end screen with Pettigrew, who's got to hold the block first, doesn't hold it nearly long enough. And that's a body rocking shot right there from Ray Edwards.
He felt that. Final play of the first quarter, provided there are no penalties. Dennis Northcutt is in as a third wide receiver for the Lions.
The previous penalty was when the ball was dead, which made the previous play second down. It's third down.
All right, they got everything straightened out. Thank you, Walt Anderson.
It's amazing how young he looks, isn't it, Stafford?
Yes.
Scott Linehan, the OC, said, he looks like a high school quarterback. I can't believe he's a starter in the National Football League with that baby face.
Have to get to the 39. Again, they play it safe. Draw play to Kevin Smith. Nick Harris, officially his first punt. The last time was an offside by Minnesota. Darius Reynaud takes it at the 34. Stays on his feet, slips a tackle. There's a flag on the play back at the 35 as he gets into Lions territory down at the 48-yard line. 17-yard return. But let's check out the flag as Walt Anderson goes back to find out what happened. 14th year in the NFL for Walt Anderson.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 37 of the receiving team. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It'll be first down. Timeout.
Vikings will start from their 25-yard line. And they come out with three wide receivers. Jim Kleinsasser, the tight end, and Adrian Peterson in the backfield. Here's Peterson. Not much there, pushing the pile for a couple of yards up to the 28-yard line. Let's go down to the sideline to Chris Myers. Chris.
Well, Sam, from the Lions bench, rookie safety Louis Delmas, who's been their top defensive player by far, had a tooth and jaw infection. It became acutely worse in pregame warm-up, so he's dressed, but his availability questionable. He is on the sideline. Marquand Manuel has played in his spot. Jim Schwartz, coach of the Lions, told us last night that Delmas by far has been their top defensive player. He said we'd be giving up 50 points a game if it wasn't for him.
The rookie has played very well. Two tight ends in. Blitz coming. Favre under pressure. Gets rid of it. Batted up in the air and it falls incomplete. Joe Cohen deflected that pass. There's a flag on the play. Good pressure that time by the Lions.
Number 64, offense. 10-yard penalty. It's still second down.
As the Vikings set back to their 18-yard line. Favre lets it fly. Incomplete. Intended for Bernard Berrien. Just a little bit out of reach.
Yeah, I think he was thinking about Co Simpson, who was coming over from the safety position. Was ready to lay a body rocking hit on him. A little bit out of sync, Minnesota offensively. I mean, we saw him down in the red zone earlier, I think trying to have a tendency breaker and run a draw down in there. You know, I think there's some bye-week rust and lack of focus going on right now for the Minnesota Vikings.
Greg Lewis in at wide receiver, three wide outs. Have to get to the 35 for a first down. Here comes pressure. Flag on the play. That was holding by the Vikings as Favre was sacked on the play. Turk McBride came in to drop Brett Favre.
Illegal hands to the face, number 71, offense. That penalty is declined. It's fourth down.
Very difficult for 6'8", 345 pounds out here. Look at the 9 technique. This guy's 345. But watch Turk McBride get Phil Loadholt's hands down. And then Phil's got to reach out, and that's where the penalty comes, where he grabbed him by the face mask. But the good pass rushers in this league, they know you've got to get the hands down to have a chance, and it was a very good job there by McBride swiping the hands out of the way.
Penalty on the Vikings and a good defensive series for the Lions. Good punt by Chris Cluey on the return. Dennis Northcutt trying to get outside, and the Vikings are there.
Look for more two tight ends and more help out there on Ray Edwards.
Big Pat Williams came firing across, and the flags go down.
Encroachment, number 94, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So the Vikings, with a couple of penalties that really have affected their game.
Yeah, mentally they don't seem right. Like I said a little while ago, just the lack of focus and coming off the bye week. And they're a very, very good football team.
Yeah.
I think we all understand that. But look, there's no gimmies on Sundays. That's one thing. And then mentally, I think, this is one of those days where you love being a Lion and probably difficult mentally to be a Minnesota Viking.
1st and 5 for the Lions at their own 43. Stafford checks off. Off the play fake, pressure, and trouble, and down he goes. First sack of the game, and there's Ray Edwards to get it. He is having a big day thus far.
Well, it took him, and this time they got a tackle on him, and Gosder chairless. There's Ray. Gosder's supposed to block him. It took about a year and a half for Ray Edwards to get used to the left end position. Look at him control the hands, and really it was a good job by E.J. Henderson coming up on a blitz and forcing Stafford to step up. Good job by Ray Edwards and having a vision point, being able to come back inside and get himself a sack. He's having a heck of a football game.
Vikings 32nd sack of the season. Edwards has 4.5. 2nd and 11. Stafford with time, throwing short, and the completion just across the 40-yard line to Dennis Northcutt. They'll spot it at the 41. It's 3rd and 7 for Matthew Stafford and the Lions.
Comes some pressure.
Pressure right away. The pass is too low. Robinson and Edwards came flying in. Robinson right away up the middle.
Stafford got this one out, I think, before he wanted to. Forced it to be inaccurate. It was the pressure coming up inside Chad Greenway. Saw Robinson there. He's the one that got a hit on him. And I think there was some running room for Kevin Smith if Stafford is able to complete that football.
Nick Harris, his second punt. Darius Raynaud is deep. Standing at his own 15. Toward the sideline. And it bounces out of bounds. Not a good kick by Nick Harris. The Vikings front four may be the best in the league. So what do they need? They need a nickname. So we need some help from the fans. We'll give you that website to log on to in a second. As Favre fakes and hands to Peterson, and he fights his way for maybe a yard. 2 tight ends in on 2nd and 8.
Move! Alert, alert, alert! Double. 380! 380!
Favre puts it up, and it's dropped incomplete. Bernard Berrien failed to hold on as he was hit right away. William James came up to make a good play.
When you heard Brett Favre there, alert, 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 and basically changed the play at the line of scrimmage. Look at the linebackers. They're all mugged up in here, which means Favre knows he's got this throwing lane on the slant right to Bernard Berrien. You see, wide open. There's nobody in the throwing lane. Pretty good play by Will James, but I think, again, a ball that Bernard Berrien could have hung on to.
Jeff Dugan in at tight end. Chester Taylor in the backfield. Dugan motions. They came with a blitz. They were offside. Free play for Favre. He puts it up deep for Sidney Rice. Rice pushed off and got away with it as he made the catch down at the 22. He pushed off on Philip Buchanan.
A huge push off by Sidney Rice. He just pushed Buchanan straight by. But how about Brett Favre? Knowing he's got a free play opportunity.
Offside, number 56, defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
43-yard pickup.
And why not try to drive it down the field when you got a free play? There's Foot right in the neutral zone when the ball is snapped. Favre puts it up. Sidney Rice, you'll see it, pushes Buchanan in the back right there and then is able to adjust, come back underneath. Phillip wanted the call, didn't get it.
Oh, he was pleading with the referee, but no call. Peterson and Tahi in the backfield. Peterson fighting his way. Peterson is going in. Touchdown. That was all Adrian Peterson.
Remember when I said you got to defend the whole field, and backside guys are going to have to make tackles today? Jason Hunter is the guy, because this thing is supposed to go to the left side of the formation for the offense. Over here, here's the guy. It comes all the way back, and watch 97 miss the tackle. You got to square up your pads. That's the play you have to make. He drips off of Adrian Peterson, and then when Peterson gets into the crease, it's over.
Longwell's extra point is good.
Pro Bowl lineman Steve Hutchinson was bragging in pregame warmups. Despite the numbers, Adrian Peterson, he said, is a better player, more patient as a runner. He said now when Brett Favre checks from run to pass, people have to worry about where he is, and he said he can score from anywhere on the field.
On the kickoff from 2 yards deep, it's Derek Williams on the return. Slipping away, gets across the 25 where he's brought down. Smith and Terrell Smith in the backfield. That's Kevin Smith, the running back, the fullback Terrell Smith, blocking for him. A couple of yards up to the 29-yard line. I get the feeling here, Tim, that the Lions have to do something offensively. Otherwise, this game might get away from them.
I agree with that. And, I mean, you know what the psyche's like of this football team. They're 1-7. We all know what happened to them last year. Now, there is a lot of new players on the football field. But the problem is when they get down in games, they get one-dimensional. They have to get away from the running game. Down 10 points here, I would still expect them to try to feature Kevin Smith.
The rookie Asher Allen, a teammate of Matthew Stafford at Georgia, is in, and he makes the tackle on the play. On Derek Williams, the quick pass out, and Allen with a quick close to make the tackle. Third-round draft pick out of Georgia, former teammate of that man, Matthew Stafford.
And was all over it. I mean, he's got the guy in motion. You see Asher Allen, there he is. Here's the motion guy, Williams. And that's not even close. That's a nice play, and that's good recognition by Asher Allen, knowing what was coming by preparation in the film room this week.
He's getting good playing time with Antoine Winfield out. Winfield hopes to be back next week. Here's 3rd and 10 for the Lions. Pressure coming. Stafford throws, completes it, but short of a first down at the 34-yard line.
How does St. Louis put a safety on Reggie Bush on a crossing route? You're asking for it.
Nick Harris, third punt. This one is a good one. Darius Reynos takes it and is tackled immediately. Don Yoback, the long snapper, got down to make the tackle. 43-yard punt, no return.
Look at these two big dudes, the bookends for the Minnesota Vikings. Phil Lodeholt, the rookie on the left, McKinney, longtime veteran on the right. Both 6'8", both over 330, and both block out the sun. And it's very, very difficult, and it's part of why I think they're so good in the run game. Defenders, you can't see past those guys. I mean, you're trying to defend the run. Their bodies are so big, they're so tall, that you can't see where the run comes from. And a lot of plays you have to make without seeing, just because of their sheer size blocks out your vision.
They're the only guys that make you look small. Favre on first down, outside of Bernard Berrien. And he's spun out of bounds by Phillip Buchanan, up close to the 30-yard line. Brett Favre 6 for 9, 118 yards so far.
Look at the size, and we know Hutch is a big dude. Here's Hutch, here's McKinney, but look at the size difference. And what you like about these big guys is they can move pretty good. So you saw Dwayne White there trying to take him upfield and come back inside. Big McKinney's got the foot speed to be able to stay with him and recover.
2nd and 3.
319. 319, son.
Adrian Peterson again try to cut it back, but he ran into Turk McBride short of the line of scrimmage, loss of a yard. Back to the 29-yard line.
Really well played by Turk McBride, who was a 2nd-round pick in Kansas City. Gunther Cunningham, the defensive coordinator, was there when they drafted him. What we were talking about earlier about holding your point, keeping your outside shoulder free, because Peterson's going to cut it back. It's exactly what he does. Takes on the fullback, outside shoulder free, makes the tackle right on the line of scrimmage. He was a nice find for them, getting waived by Kansas City. He was signed in about 20 minutes to the Detroit Lions.
Chester Taylor in the backfield. Jeff Dugan lines up in the backfield. The only tight end, 3 wide receivers. Favre rolls and puts it up deep, and he's got a man, Sidney Rice, who waits for him and makes the catch. And he's out of bounds inside the 30. Sidney Rice was all alone. He had to wait for that pass. Had Favre been able to lead him, he would have been into the end zone.
Well, I don't know how a guy like Sidney Rice gets that open, and I'm not so sure that the corner didn't have his eyes in the backfield. Here's the corner, Will James, right there, 41. Oh, he's got his eyes in the backfield. He's playing Favre on the run, and looked like the safety was supposed to get to the deep half. Coach Simpson was late getting over to the top, and that's one thing now Minnesota has not done a lot of, and we've seen it in this game. More edge plays, more of Favre, and the guys getting outside of the pocket.
43-yard gain. Peterson, no gain on that play. Sidney Rice, 5 catches, 136 yards. And we still have plenty of time to go, 6.5 minutes to go in the first half.
I think one thing, look at that. I mean, Favre doesn't get out of the pocket a lot, and we just saw it to Sidney Rice. 14 of 15 and a perfect passer rating when Brett Favre is breaking, contain, and getting out on the edge. And guess what? Now that you've seen it in this game a couple of times, the next 7 opponents are going to have to prepare for it with Brett Favre getting out of the pocket.
Vikings with 231 yards total offense thus far. On 2nd and 10. Favre with time. Adrian Peterson gets away. Inside the 20, he's got a first down at the 18-yard line. Boy, he's tough to bring down. First man.
Well, and this is where he's grown in the passing game. I mean, his numbers are up in terms of being a receiver. Look at what he did at Oklahoma. That's for a career now. 24 receptions as a Sooner. 19 his rookie year. 21 last year. He's already at 20.
Yep.
And we're in the 9th game of the season.
2 tight ends in, Schenko and Kleinsasser.
Check, 200.
Favre checks it off. Blitz coming outside, and the ball dropped, incomplete. Vicente Schenko couldn't hold on. Peterson and Tahi in the backfield. And we've got a timeout. Brett Favre stepping back, calling time.
Well, Sam, you were talking about Minnesota's 34th Infantry. It's the first time that a National Guard division has actually taken command in a combat zone. Of course, the 2,000 troops are watching here, and there are about 500 Army and Air Force, and a number of Viking players have relatives who have served our country, and proud of this moment and this Viking performance so far.
Thanks, Chris. On 2nd and 10. Short drop by Favre, throwing to the corner, incomplete. Bernard Berrien trying to make the adjustment. He was well covered by Will James.
Well, and Brett Favre, he sees single safety high. He's taking a shot with Bernard Berrien matched up on Will James. And 3-step drop. He's going for that little backdoor throw. And again, one that hit Berrien right in the hands. I mean, when you look at Bernard Berrien, and his numbers have been okay, and I don't think he's been what they expected him to be or what he expects him to be. We've already seen a couple of drops out of him in this football game. That ball should have been caught.
But Rice has been the man to step up big time. Percy Harvin in the game. 3 wide receivers. Greg Lewis is in as well. Favre waits, pumps, wide open. Sidney Rice down to the 12-yard line. And it looks like he's got enough for the first down.
Well, he's the best pump faker in the National Football League, and he just plays games with safeties and linebackers with that pump fake, and you can't break early on him. Most guys, they're in zone, they're going to break. As soon as that left hand comes off the ball, they're going to make their break in terms of where they think Favre is throwing it to. DeAndre Levy did right there, and then Favre was able to zip it in right next to him.
And how is Sidney Rice so wide open? I mean, every play. When Favre is going
as the
to him,
primary receiver. Absolutely.
Chains are out. The measure. And just short. About a foot short. And Brett says shorter than that. And he wants the coach to call into play. And the Vikings will go for it. Saucer and Dugan. Two tight ends come in. So the Vikings 4 for 7 on fourth down conversions. The ball just inside the 8-yard line.
Now I know one place I wouldn't run it, and it wouldn't be right up the gut on the interior with a quarterback sneak.
Why not?
I just think they're so big on the inside. When you look at Grady Jackson and Sammy Hill, to me, this one's got to go right here off tackle, either side.
It's to Dugan, the fullback.
No way.
And he didn't make it. They try to surprise. Now, why wouldn't you go with your best guy in Adrian Peterson, led by Dugan? Instead, they gave it to Dugan, a tight end lined up at fullback.
And you run right into Grady Jackson. And that's what I told you. Watch 90 here, get penetration. I would never have run right at the middle of that defense. That's where they're strong. Grady Jackson and Andre Fluellen, did a great job of setting a new line of scrimmage against that offensive line. That is a big, big stop for the Lions. That's some momentum now that they need to build on. And you know what? Go back to the Seattle game. They had a big fourth down stop early in that football game. They're pretty good in that area.
But they haven't been able to get much going offensively. Two tight ends in, Brandon Pettigrew and Will Heller. From the 7, Kevin Smith cuts it back. Nice move. And he gets up to the 13-yard line. Pickup of 6 on the play. Chad Greenway made the tackle. The Vikings have had 251 yards total offense. The Lions 57. And it's still only a 10-point game. Lions.
Well, we saw a turnover early in the red zone, from the Minnesota as they tried that end around reverse, and Adrian Peterson just chucked it up in the air. Harvin could not handle it. So they've had their issues. They've stubbed their toe a little bit now down in the red zone.
The pitch out to Kevin Smith, and he's tackled for a loss. Ray Edwards steps up to make another play.
Well, and then typically teams try to do this against this over defense, and they try to what they call the flip 90, just pitch it out to the right and catch that defensive end squeeze, and Ray Edwards sees it the whole way. He doesn't even look at the down block. A lot of defensive ends, when that tackle that you're playing against down blocks, you're supposed to squeeze down and shut down that running lane. This dude's got it figured out. He doesn't fall for it. Eyes went right to the flip 90, and he got a nice tackle.
3rd and 7. Maurice Morris in the backfield with Matthew Stafford. They're coming hard on the rush, and the dump off was incomplete. Nobody there. Looking for a safety valve, Maurice Morris, but it wasn't there. And for the 4th consecutive possession, it's 3 and out for the Lions.
Well, and they've been in 3rd and somewhat long. I mean, you can't believe the difference in this league. If you're 3rd and 3 to 5 versus 3rd and 6 plus the conversion rate, it's unbelievable.
And now Percy Harvin was on the field. Looked like he was going to line up to receive the punt, and he's out there with Darius Raynaud. It's Harvin at the 45. Raynaud just to the Minnesota side of midfield. 4th punt of the game for Nick Harris. Some pressure. Good high kick. Raynaud backs up at the 39. Fakes a reverse. Takes it to the sideline. And a good return by Darius Raynaud into Lions territory at the 48-yard line. Marquand Manuel made the tackle, but there's a flag on the play. Flag is back at the Lions 12-yard line. Walt Anderson, lengthy discussion.
During the kick, holding number 59 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Be 1st down.
He was probably, what, 2-3 years old?
That's right.
Favre was already in the National Football League.
Vikings start from the 30. 2 tight ends. Favre throws short to Vicente Shenko, one of the tight ends, and he's up to the 39-yard line. And we go back to Chris Myers. Chris, what's happening?
Well, Sam, on the Viking bench, you're talking about Brett Favre, and Darrell Bevell, his offensive coordinator, who was with Brett in Green Bay for 6 years, was saying before the game, it's not like he's just started these games. He's been very effective and a winner. And Brett said those 300 include the playoffs, which they should, because the playoffs are the most important thing.
Peterson bounces off 2 tacklers and breaks away. Peterson chased by Buchanan, who punches the ball loose. And it is recovered by the Lions for a touchback. Philip Buchanan made a touchdown-saving play. He punched the ball loose from behind Adrian Peterson, and Jason Hunter recovered in the end zone for a touchback.
Well, and Adrian Peterson against Detroit, that's his 5th fumble in 2 seasons. He's going to run right through DeAndre Levy here. Now watch Philip Buchanan, still got the speed, comes right from behind, punches it out, and then makes the tackle so Adrian Peterson can't go get on the ball. Jason Hunter comes up with the recovery. Huge, huge play by Philip Buchanan. Pop out, and now tackle him at the same time so he can't be the guy to go get the ball. That is great work by Philip Buchanan, and really is going to give a shot in the arm to this Detroit team. I mean, that could have been a backbreaker, Sam, going in 17-0, and a couple of big pops from Peterson.
43-yard run by Adrian Peterson, but he didn't seem to have an awareness that Buchanan was closing in on him. And the fumble by Adrian Peterson. Lions have the ball at their 20-yard line. Stafford throwing short, and Pettigrew dropped it. Incredibly, the Minnesota Vikings have 303 yards total offense in the first half and only have a 10-point lead.
Well, and again, they've shot themselves in the foot down in the red zone. They've been down in the red zone 3 times. They've come away with 3 points. And if you look at them this year, Minnesota, they're the #2 team in the National Football League when they get down in the money zone.
2 fumbles in the game for the Vikings. But again, the Lions offense has been virtually non-existent. They have 60 yards total offense in the game. 2nd and 10. Kevin Smith in the backfield with Matthew Stafford. Stafford gets time, completes the Calvin Johnson. Flag on the play. There's a flag on the play, maybe a holding on the Lions. Let's see. Well, Matthew Stafford thinks it's not a...
There is no foul for offensive holding. The defender was pushed from the back. First down.
Thanks for the clarification. As the Lions come quickly to the line at the 30-yard line. They have all 3 timeouts remaining. It's a first down. Blitz coming. The handoff to Kevin Smith. And he is stopped. Medea Williams and E.J. Henderson combining after a 3-yard gain up to the 33 for Kevin Smith.
Surprised they're not using their timeouts. Trying to...
They're going hurry up.
Yeah,
no huddle. But the clock winding down.
They're wasting 15, 20 seconds so every play without stopping the clock.
Everybody out. Stafford throws. And Calvin Johnson holds on. A beautiful catch in Vikings territory at the 49-yard line.
And these are the type of skills the #1 overall pick possesses. And they call it timeout here. He absolutely drilled that into a tight window, did Stafford.
There was the timeout in Iraq, the 34th Infantry Division from Minnesota. They're watching Adrian Peterson.
There he goes.
He's going.
Touchdown.
Wow. Sorry, guys. That happens. The Lions are out to play, too. It's great to see the troops enjoying some football and a break from the dangerous work they do.
Cannot thank them enough.
There you see what's coming up next. 2nd game. Most of you will see the Cowboys and the Packers. A lot of good football on doubleheader day on the NFL on Fox. Adrian Peterson has rushed for 100 yards in the first half, the 9th time he's done that.
But he's had a couple of boo-boos. He had the pitch, the horrible pitch to Harvin on the reverse. And you know what? If you're Brad Childress, put those reverses in your back pocket for the rest of the game. They haven't been good to him. And then, of course, the big fumble there as he was going into the end zone.
We get a booth review on the The last completion to Calvin Johnson. Did he hold on? That was the question. Did the ball hit the turf? So the ring down from upstairs in the final 2 minutes of both halves. Any review comes from upstairs. And Walt Anderson will check it out. Walt getting the word as to what's going to be forthcoming, and he goes under the hood. So in looking at this game, we see Calvin Johnson's trying to get back in form. Jim Schwartz trying to keep his team positive. A 1-7 team that's really struggled to get it all together. There have been such big turnover personnel-wise this year.
Well, there have been. They got one starter on their defense, and Dwayne White, back from last year. Now that Ernie Sims is down with injury. Here's the Calvin Johnson play. It's a really booth review. Terrific play right into the window. See if he keeps possession all the way past the ground. Okay, he's down there. The ball, he's got to hang on to it. He's got to keep hanging on to it. Yeah, that's going to be a catch.
And
that's going to be a catch.
The ruling on the field was a catch, so you've got to have definite evidence that he dropped the ball, conclusive evidence to overturn.
No, and I don't think the ball moves once it goes down on the ground either.
The ruling on the field stands. It'll be first down.
What a great catch up on his shoulder. That ball was up on his shoulder pad, and he was getting hit in traffic and was still able to hold on to it.
Calvin Johnson, 3 catches, 37 yards. 1:07 to go in the first half. The Vikings with a 10-0 lead. The Lions trying to get something going offensively. 3 wide receivers. Dennis Northcutt is in as the 3rd wide out with Brian Johnson and Calvin Johnson. And flags go. The ball was never snapped.
Now unabated to the quarterback, I think, Ray Edwards.
Head coach Brad Childress of the Vikings on the field. He says it should be on the Lions. Dominic Raiola, the center, is appealing to one of the officials outside of the huddle.
False start, illegal snap on the center. It's a 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So as Brad Childress was right.
Watch Raiola here, what he does with the football.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he snapped it. Put it on the ground and let the guard pick it up on the old fumblerooski.
Ball back to the Lions 47. Again, 3 wide receivers. Kevin Smith in the backfield with Matthew Stafford. Everybody out. Stafford's throw is to Calvin Johnson. And he's down inside the 35. So now Stafford and Johnson starting to build some chemistry. They were both injured in the game against the Bears October the 4th. Johnson played the following week, but his knee was no good. And Stafford missed 2 games and before he got back in the lineup. There's Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, former offensive coordinator here in Minnesota. Vikings showing blitz. And they're coming. Stafford puts it up deep for Calvin Johnson. It's overthrown and out of bounds. Benny Sapp, who's covering on the play, along with Tyrell Johnson, the safety. And you need double coverage on Calvin Johnson.
Well, and that's a safety. They were actually in single safety high, which means the safety is going to be late in rotation coming over from the center field. And if I see that, if I'm Matthew Stafford, I'm putting it up to Calvin every time and just let him go win a rebound. You talk about a guy as big and as long as he is that jumps out of the gym with a 40-inch vertical. I'll give him a chance every time he gets that single safety high and has an opportunity down the sideline.
Lions have 1 timeout remaining. 3 wide receivers in. On 2nd and 10. Stafford, good protection. Going short to Kevin Smith. Short pickup down to the 33, maybe the 32-yard line. Bring up a 3rd down and 7 for the Lions. No huddle. Stafford being rushed, throwing low, and a diving grab by Dennis Northcutt. He made the catch inside the 25-yard line. And a timeout called by the Lions. That's their final timeout.
Yeah, Northcutt just going to run an out route on the linebacker. The corner is off deep in coverage, so Northcutt just reads the backer and goes and gets the football on an out route to the flat and makes a nice catch.
That's a first down inside the 25-yard line.
And they are still, Sam, trying to find that number 3 receiver.
Lions need points. They are out of timeouts. 22 seconds remaining in the half. The handoff, the fake handoff. Stafford trying to buy some time. Throwing. And it's incomplete. Trying to get it to Bryant Johnson. At the side of the end zone, he was covered by Medea Williams.
And you can tell he's just not moving around as well as he did earlier in the year because of that right knee injury. Matthew Stafford does do a good job now getting out of the traffic and throws a ball that Bryant Johnson, you got to catch that. I mean, you got a quarterback extending the play. Remember we talked to Jim Schwartz. He says, we got no room for error. We got no margin for error because we're not very good. When the opportunities present themselves, we got to seize them. That's 4 or 5 drops we've seen in the first half from the Lions receiver corps.
10th play of the drive. Lions are out of timeouts. 14 seconds remaining. Stafford gets good time. Goes short. Kevin Smith out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Time for one more shot into the end zone.
One thing they have been able to do, and Scott Linehan has done a nice job of getting the offensive line together and getting the protection squared away, because early in the first quarter, Ray Edwards, Kevin Williams, they were having a heck of a day rushing the passer, and in the last couple of drives they've been pretty good at protecting Matthew Stafford.
So they won't take that shot. They'll go for the field goal instead. Second attempt of the game for Jason Hansen. He missed a 48-yarder earlier. This one is a 38-yard try. Nick Harris the holder. And it's on the way and right through. Jason Hansen gets the Lions their first points of the game. And the Vikings have a 10-3 lead. They have been beaten by the Vikings 14 of the last 15 meetings and 11 straight here in Minnesota.
And let me tell you one thing, in the retirement of Barry Sanders from the Detroit Lions and the Hall of Famer, and boy, I played against him many times. The guy was just awesome. He really was. But their running game has taken a huge step backwards. And I know they've had different coaches, they've had different runners, different quarterbacks. But look at that. I mean, that says it all. Barry Sanders, as a Lion, every year averaging over 1,500 yards. The lead running back since 800 yards in a season, 808 on average. That right there tells a big story about what's been happening with the Detroit Lions over the last decade.
A little pooch kick. And it's caught, and the Vikings will get one play from the 37-yard line.
Play and the caliber of the players and the athlete, but hanging out with those college guys for a week and just kind of recapturing that is really, really neat.
The Vikings have had only one sack. They came into the game with 31 to lead the league. But I think part of it also, would you say, Tim, is the conservative offensive game plan of the Lions?
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the ball's coming out quick. We haven't seen Stafford with too many 5-step drops back there trying to get the ball deep. So that's certainly played into it.
Derek Williams takes a knee on the kickoff by Ryan Longwell. Let's find out what Chris Myers was doing at halftime. Chris.
Sam, talking to the coaches, and Brad Childress, his voice somewhat hoarse coming out of the locker room, I imagine, from raising it with his team. But he said, let's get back to basics. Let's do some of the little things right to dominate and have just a 10-3 lead frustrating. Meanwhile, for the Lions, Jim Schwartz talking about Sidney Rice. He said, we can't afford to double cover him. Luis Delmas, our top safety, is out because of Adrian Peterson. We have to watch the run. We are working on improving the protection of Matthew Stafford, and we will continue to do that with quicker throws, and we'll get more two tight end here in the second half.
Thanks, Chris. Lions from the 20. Kevin Smith. Nice run on first down. And the ball came loose. And what's the ruling? Vikings ball. Out of the pile comes Ray Edwards, who has had a tremendous game. Now Jim Schwartz is ready to throw the challenge flag. Let's see.
There's Ben Lieber. Let's see if he goes down. That ball's out before the knee is down. Absolutely. It's like the right hand of Ray Edwards punches it out. Ray punches it out, and Ray recovers it. Boy, he is having one heck of a day today. Number 91, Ray Edwards, the left hand. Watch his right hand as he pops it out right there. The left knee and shin is not on the ground yet before the ball comes out, and then Big Ray comes up with it as well. Great play.
So a huge turnover on the first play from scrimmage. Kevin Smith fumbles, and the Vikings in scoring position at the Lions 29. Adrian Peterson, again the big cutback, and another one, and he fights his way down to the 1-yard line. 28-yard run by Adrian Peterson. Julian Peterson, no relation, made the tackle. And Marquand Manuel is hurt. They're already without Louis Delmas.
Once again, here's the guy, Jason Hunter. Watch him get down the field. Tahi is going to be able to seal him off. See the block by Nafu Tahi? Look at this. I mean, you can't give that to Adrian Peterson. He is absolutely going to make you pay, and that's why when you're paying a 4-man front, gap control for a defensive lineman is absolutely critical. When you're the left defensive end, at all costs, keep your left arm, your outside shoulder free, and protect the flank.
Jack Williams, who was signed this week, is injured. My injured players have gone off. Jack Williams, number 42, gone to the sideline, helped to the sideline. Marquand Manuel went to the sideline with his arm tight to his body. First and goal at the 1. Peterson, touchdown. His second touchdown of the game. His 11th rushing touchdown of the season. And the Vikings turn a fumble recovery by Ray Edwards into 7 points, or 6 right now.
Well, he's been due for an explosion game, Adrian Peterson. He really hasn't broken free with a huge day since week 6, and he's having one today with the exception of a couple of turnovers. And that's easy for him as he gets a very, very good block at the end of the line from the tight end, Jimmy Kleinsauce.
Longwell with the extra point. Peterson's 27-yard run down to the 1-yard line put him over 4,000 yards. The men and women of the 34th Infantry Division of the Minnesota National Guard in Basra, Iraq, loving the fact that Adrian Peterson went in for the touchdown. On the return, Derek Williams after the hit. Ball spotted at the 16. Now the Lions have to get something going offensively. Quick outside. And the ball popped loose. And it is, was it out of bounds? It looked like it may have gone out of bounds. Calvin Johnson took the hit, lost the football. And it's ruled out of bounds.
It's going to be close because Jared Allen is over there just laying out for it to try to get it before it hits the white stripe. You see Cedric Griffin puts his helmet right on the football, knocks it out. Now watch 69 here. He comes flying over. Ooh, I don't know, Sam, unless the defender touched, or the offensive guy that was defender out of bounds, excuse me, touched it. Let's see, Calvin is out of bounds there. It looks like Calvin or the defender may have touched it before Jared got it, which would make it down ball out of bounds.
Lions retain possession but lost 4 on the play. Back to the 12-yard line. Stafford gets time. Throws and completes it to Calvin Johnson. Chad Greenway takes him out at the 32-yard line. Spotted up at the 33, a pickup of 16 on the play. So now the Vikings may have forced the Lions to become one-dimensional.
Which is trouble against this Minnesota front in that pass rush that's ridiculously good, especially when they turn guys one-dimensional. They know you're passing hard to stop them. Look at that. Look at that number.
39 games. He's reached 4,000 yards, and this is 3rd season in the NFL. Kevin Smith takes it outside. Nice run by Kevin Smith and goes out of bounds up at the 47. That's a good run.
Well, and Jared Allen does a good job of penetrating into the backfield. Here's Jared here. He gets in there and forces it to bounce. There's the guy that's got to make the play in E.J. Henderson. Watch him get caught up in the wash. He knows Jared's going inside. He's got outside. And Jeff Backus is able to seal him off, and then another good block out there on Griffin as well to give Kevin Smith the edge.
11 carries, 59 yards for Kevin Smith. Now Kevin Smith and Maurice Morris in the backfield with Matthew Stafford. From the 47. Stafford, and it's dropped by the tight end, Brandon Pettigrew. He's dropped a couple in the game today.
Yeah, and unacceptable. I mean, Brandon Pettigrew had a very, very good game last week and became a real featured guy. Jack Williams there on the sideline. It's like a left knee injury, Sam. But Pettigrew, I mean, that's a hookup. First-round pick. Guy's a multifaceted player, but that's a hookup that's got to be here for the next 7 to 10 years.
Lions have
Pettigrew is going to show that consistency.
Sorry, Tim. Lions have dropped 4 passes in the game. 3 wide receivers in. Dennis Northcutt in it as the third. 2nd and 10. Vikings rush 4. Stafford completes it to Will Heller. And the other tight end is down to the 41. That's a first down.
And that's the effect that Calvin Johnson out on the edge is going to give you, because you got to roll coverage his way, which means most of the time, Sam, you're going to have 2 safeties high. And it's either cover 2 with 2 deep, or it's cover 4 with 4 guys going deep. And that hole right in the middle of the field is going to be open to be exploited by the tight end. That's what you saw there from Will Heller.
See the numbers for Matthew Stafford. 2 tight ends in, Pettigrew and Heller. On the Vikings 42, Maurice Morris. Brought down at the 37-yard line by Pat Williams. First carry of the game for Maurice Morris. One-time Seattle Seahawk.
Still trying to figure out why Minnesota has had issues defending the run this year. And they're up over 4 yards a carry against them, which is well, below their standard in terms of what their expectations are. I think part of it is so many people, Sam, fear that pass rush that they're content on dialing up more runs at that defense.
Stafford threw it behind Ryan Johnson. It's incomplete.
And both backers coming right up the middle. Ben Lieber and E.J. Henderson getting the heat on Matthew Stafford as he unload that football. Look at the difference there. Yards per play, more than double for the Minnesota Vikings in this game.
No doubt this is a year of learning for Matthew Stafford. He was set back by the knee injury, but seems to be getting back into good form. 2 tight ends in, Maurice Morris in the backfield. On 3rd and 7. Greenway threatening the blitz. They come with it. And the pass. Nice catch by Brian Johnson. First down at the 28-yard line. His first catch of the game. And he limps to the sideline.
I know this. When Matthew Stafford gets his feet set and can set his feet before he throws the ball and gets it out on time, he is very, very accurate.
I like the way he throws. Jimmy Kennedy in on the defensive line for the Vikings. 9th play of the drive for the Lions. It's been a good one. Maurice Morris in the backfield. It's Morris. There's a good hole there. And the tackle by E.J. Henderson as Morris was just about to break free. He gets down to the 23-yard line.
And they have had trouble defending the run out in the C gap. Watch Backus here and watch what he does to Jared Allen as he's going to wash him down. And then he just finishes. And Jared ends up tripping over Dominic Raiola. That's a good block by Jeff Backus. And that's where they've been hitting him today. Predominantly on that side over there, getting out to the perimeter, and Jared Allen has no tackles in this football game.
10th play of the drive, 3 runs, 6 passes. It's another run. This one is stopped, smashed cold. Jimmy Kennedy, who has found new life. He's gotten into better shape. He lost 20-25 pounds and is playing very well in the defensive tackle rotation.
And 2 guys that do great right there and right there. They're stacked. You watch Jimmy Kennedy and Chad Greenway. Kennedy's got the A gap. Greenway's got the B gap. That's gap control. We were talking earlier about gap integrity and gap control. Kennedy had the A gap. Greenway had the B gap, and they executed it perfectly.
Gosder Cherilus limped to the sideline for the Lions. John Jansen replaces him at right tackle. Vikings show blitz. Here they come on 3rd and 9. Stafford completes it to Dennis Northcutt. It's a first down at the 16-yard line. That's a big play by Matthew Stafford with a blitz coming at him.
Good play
up
call.
11.
Good play ball call by Scott Linehan, because it's a nice, easy read for the quarterback. Gosser Charles over there on the side getting tended to. But it's an easy read for the quarterback, because you run Calvin deep, he's got coverage, and then it's just basically a flat route on the nickel corner with Northcutt out of the slot.
The 11th year man out of Michigan, John Jansen, in at right tackle for the Lions. On first down, Maurice Morris trying to cut it back, finds a little opening and squeezes through down to the 13-yard line. Pick up a 3 on the play.
Watch the big fella 94 and what he does when he's lined up in that A gap between the guard and the center. He's going to throw Raiola, then he's going to take the block of Brandon Pettigrew, who has ended up playing fullback, then forces the ball to bounce back to the outside gap. If you can't move Pat Williams on the inside, you're not going to have a lot of success running up in those interior A gaps.
71 yards on this drive, best drive of the game for the Lions. Stafford swings it out right through the hands of Maurice Morris. May have taken his eyes off the ball, looking up to see Chad Greenway coming at him.
Well, Jared Allen was right in his face too. Jared does a great job of just forklifting Jeff Backus right into the lap of the quarterback. That's one thing about Jared, is his motor is just red hot. It's running at about 5,000 RPMs for 60 minutes, and he just doesn't stop. And that time he just basically picked Backus up and threw him right into the lap of the quarterback.
Ryan Robinson in for the Vikings on the defensive line. Big 3rd and 7, and now Matthew Stafford calls a timeout.
The injuries for the Lions: Derek Williams a hip, he's probable. Marquand Manuel a shoulder, questionable. Jack Williams a knee, questionable. Gosser Charles walked off. Sam, it's Detroit sideline. It's like a bad episode of House.
You're right about that. Thanks, Dr. Myers.
And nothing about Marquand Manuel sitting there with ice on his shoulder with no shirt on looks questionable.
3 wide receivers. Vikings fake the blitz. Here they come. Stafford in trouble. They knock the ball loose. Flag on the play. They may have hit him in the head. That flying
Medea Williams, I believe.
That flying tackle may have caught Matthew Stafford right in the head.
Yeah, Ray Edwards from one side, Medea Williams from the middle, and it's probably Ray Edwards, as you said, flying up over the top. And it looked like from up here he got Stafford helmet to helmet.
Foul. Roughing the passer, number 91 of the defense, launching and contacting the quarterback to the head. After this is to the goal, first down.
He definitely launched.
Yeah, and watch what he does here is he takes the corner and then just leaves his feet up over Maurice Morris. And there it is, helmet to helmet on Matthew Stafford. Medea Williams scot-free up the middle. Boy, look at the athleticism by Ray Edwards. And there's just no way when you go up like that, you can contort your body to get away from having a helmet to helmet on the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. That is a great play and bad luck for Ray Edwards.
So for the Lions, it's good fortune that, number one, their quarterback is okay, but now they have a 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. 7 penalties in the game for Minnesota. 2 tight ends, Will Heller and Casey Fitzsimmons. Maurice Morris, and he stopped. Tyrell Johnson, the safety, came in quickly and made a great play in the backfield.
And that's one thing. I think you look at their safeties, that's a terrific play by Tyrell Johnson, who comes on a run blitz right in the middle. Here he is, 25. The ball's going to go this way, has no chance because Jared's able to keep his outside shoulder free. There's nowhere for that to go. Terrific play by Tyrell Johnson, and that's an area where they have to improve. The tackling by the safeties, for one reason or another, bad angles, bad wraps, they have not been good this year for Minnesota.
2nd and goal from the 8. There was a loss of a yard on the last play. Everybody out. Stafford throwing. Touchdown, Will Heller. Beautiful throw. Great catch by Heller. And what a drive by the Detroit Lions. And that was huge. One of their best drives. That was outstanding. Now, they did have a 98-yarder earlier in the season, but that was an outstanding drive led by Matthew Stafford, and some big plays in clutch situations, and of course the penalty by the Vikings.
Good to see him.
Certainly helped the Lions.
Yeah, good to see a smile there on the head coach Jim Schwartz's face. Great ball location from Stafford to Will Heller. right down the seam in the middle of the end zone to his tight end.
Jason Hansen for the extra point. It is good. 15 plays, 84 yards, and Matthew Stafford on that drive was 6 for 9.
Well,
Took the hit from Ray Edwards and followed it up with a touchdown pass to Will Heller.
Love that mental toughness from Matthew Stafford. You're right. That was a very, very good drive for him. And you know, the guy is real hard on himself, and Coach Linehan told us that, but not to a fault. I mean, he's not out there beating himself up day in and day out. He's trying to improve, and I'll tell you, that little tight end hookup has been a good one now for him for the last couple of weeks.
Jason Hansen to kick it off to Percy Harvin, second in the NFL, but he doesn't kick it to him. That's a great kickoff by Hansen into the corner of the end zone and through for a touchback. You don't want Percy Harvin returning. Lions are down 3 defensive backs. Philip Buchanan is okay. Calvin Pearson has come in at safety with Marquand Manuel out. Louis Delmas out with the infected tooth. And the Vikings' second possession of the second half starts at their own 20. Blitz coming. It's picked up, and the pass for Adrian Peterson is dropped. Looked like he speeded up, trying to get full speed. As you look at Adrian Peterson, those are good numbers. 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. And around the league, Steven Jackson, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Chris Johnson of Tennessee, 103 yards, 1 touchdown. Maurice Jones-Drew with a good day. Percy Harvin in as a third wide receiver for the Vikings. Quick outside of Harvin. They like to get it to him in space. Flying on the play as Harvin turns it into a nice gain up to the 37-yard line.
I think they're going to get a hold on Bernard Berrien. I think that's exactly what they're going to get here. And this baby is timed up perfectly. 87 on the hold here.
Number 87, offense. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Walt Anderson hire you for this game?
Well, and you'll see the bottom of your screen here. Bernard Berrien, who's trying to block Philip Buchanan out there on the corner, just has a hold of the back of his jersey. And then pulls his hands off at the last second like, I didn't do anything, but clearly it was already called back there by the side judge.
8th penalty of the game for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's add another one to it. That's 9. It's back to the 12-yard line. Have to get to the 30 for a first down. Chester Taylor in the backfield with Nafahu Tahi.
Go! 158! 158!
Favre to Taylor. And he's brought down with an ankle tackle by Kevin Hobbs, who's in as the 5th defensive back for the Lions. Bring up a 3rd and long for the Vikings. And took advantage of an early turnover in this second half to open up a 17-3 lead, but a great drive by the Lions has put them back in the game. Greg Lewis in as a 3rd wide receiver. Favre steps up. Nobody open. Lets it go. His arm was hit as he threw, and it's incomplete. Pressure on Favre coming late from Julian Peterson, who got a piece of him.
Yep, and it was a good job picking up the blitz front side as Brett Favre is trying to get him to draw off sides here with his cadence. So that doesn't work. Now they pick up the blitz front side with the corner coming off the slot, but it's Peterson who's able to hit Favre's arm late as he was trying to unload it.
Second punt of the game for Chris Cluey, standing on his 5. 2 3-and-outs in the game for the Vikings, and Brad Childress, their head coach, says we've taken too many this season. Good high punt, fair catch, wait for, and caught by Dennis Northcutt. There's a flag down. Walt Anderson will check it out. Looks like holding against the Vikings.
Sloppy performance by them today. We talked about it in the open about the lack of focus. This is going to be their 10th penalty. You've got the turnovers, you got the red zone errors, you got the problems with the gadget plays. They are not sharp
number
today.
51 on the offense. That 10-yard penalty will be assessed from the end of the run. It'll be first down.
Vikings fans are quiet right now.
I like the way they're drinking out of horns.
That's it. Brett Favre, 12 for 19, 204 yards. No touchdown passes in the game. Matthew Stafford, 18 for 31, touchdown pass. The 40-year-old Brett Favre, the 21-year-old Matthew Stafford.
And the 21-year-old Matthew Stafford yesterday, his comment with a big smile on his face is, gosh, I want to beat that guy. I can't wait. Because this may be my last opportunity. We got to do it.
Gosder Sherilis is back at right tackle for the Lions. John Jansen did a good job when he was in. Flag on the play and a loss on the play as Tyrell Johnson, the safety, brought down Kevin Smith.
Hold. Number 66, offense. That penalty has declined. It's second down.
Stephen Peterman, the right guard, called for the hold, and it's turned down by the Vikings. They'll take the play with negative yardage.
Well, Kevin Williams forces a lot of people to do that. Kevin Williams is arguably the best defensive tackle in pro football. You see him right there. He was going to make a big tackle for loss in the backfield, and Stephen Peterman just had to wrap him up to protect his running back.
2nd and 14, two tight ends in. Pettigrew and Heller. Stafford quickly outside of Heller, and he is hit right away. Short pickup, good play by the right corner, Cedric Griffin. As we mentioned, Antoine Winfield missing his 3rd game with a foot injury, but he was running during the week. Can run straight ahead pretty well. Has trouble planting and cutting, but he thinks he'll be back next week.
That's a guy they miss. A very good tackle there by Cedric Griffin out there playing a hard corner in that cover 2 defense, but you'll be very, very excited to get Antoine Winfield, arguably the best tackling corner in pro football, back on the field.
Brian Robinson in at defensive tackle. The fake handoff, the short pitch outside. Northcutt driving for a first down. Close to it. It looks like he's going to be a yard short. Good effort by Dennis Northcutt. Tyrell Johnson, the safety, made a good tackle. A yard short of the first down.
Great play call by Scott Linehan right there, because they caught Minnesota in a blitz. E.J. Henderson coming up inside Jared Allen, and it was just all synced up and timed up perfectly.
And the Lions are going to go for it. Terrell Smith and Kevin Smith in the backfield.
Please do not run at the Williams wall on the interior. This is where they've been having their success. Right there, C gap to the left.
4th and 1. Timeout, says Stafford. The clock may have been winding down. Detroit has used 2 of their 3 timeouts here in the second half.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to draw them off sides. They're going to bring the punt team on.
Okay, you're right.
Just feel good about punting.
The Lions, Nick Harris with his 5th punt of the game. Good high kick. Darius Radon waits and calls for a fair catch at the 17-yard line. So the Vikings needed a big defensive series, and they got it. 31-yard punt for Nick Harris. Let's see what Chris Myers is up to. Chris?
Well, Sam, Tim and you have been talking about the ho-hum attitude. Maybe it was the layoff, maybe 7-1 facing 1-7, but it was something Brad Childress, he said, I'm not disappointed with the energy of the team, but they just are not doing the little things, the things that we were doing before to get to 7-1, staying in sync, and there's still not a lot of excitement over on the Vikings sideline. Even after big plays, it's just as if it's supposed to happen for the Vikings, like they're supposed to get the win regardless of what happens here.
No easy games. We have seen.
Never. These guys know that. They've had terrific production, Sam. They just haven't had the points. They've been moving the ball.
3 wide receivers in. The handoff to Peterson. And he fights for a little. With Atlanta leading the division. Greg Lewis in, 4 wide receivers. Far throws and completes it. To Percy Harvin, and it looks like he's got enough for the first down. He does, up at the 30-yard line, a pickup of 11.
He was a pleasure to talk to.
Oh, he really was. You know, we asked him, do you want to get more involved in the offense? And he says, you know what, I'm very happy the way they're using me. part-time receiver, but the big-time returner. And that's one thing Brad Childress doesn't want to do, is lose that returnability factor.
Don't be surprised if we see him returning a punt before long as well.
Two tight ends. Peterson takes it outside. Little cutback. And he's across the 35 up to the 37-yard line. Adrian Peterson, 16 carries, 136 yards.
And a guy that's been a big part of it is Jim Kleinsaucer, and he really changes what they are on the offensive line. Here he is right here. Watch him get the block on McBride. He's just going to stay with him. He'll take Turk McBride. He's able to just get on his edge and then just stays with him. And McBride, I mean, completely keeps him out of the play. Jimmy Kleinsaucer is almost like just an offensive tackle with hands that can catch. He's a big part of their run game.
Kleinsaucer and Chanko in, two tight ends. The toss to Peterson. And he's up to the 38-yard line, maybe a yard on the play. DeAndre Levy made the tackle. Levy playing for the injured Ernie Sims. Adrian Peterson, 50 yards to the left, 82 down the middle, and just 4 yards to the right.
Well, and the 82 down the middle is where he's starting on that cutback. He gets down the middle and then is able to bounce to the perimeter. And once he does that, if you've got bad angles in terms of your pursuit and leverage, he's going to make you pay for it. And he's done it today.
Three tight ends, two to the left on 3rd and 2. Favre throws incomplete. He tried to get it to Sidney Rice. He may have hit the linebacker Larry Foote with that pass.
Really good awareness by Larry Foote, who's still getting used to this 4-3 defense, and he knows Brett Favre's going to try to get it into this throwing lane. So watch Foote as he gets into his drop here. He's just going to run right into the throwing lane and really shields Sidney Rice from being able to see the ball, and it looked like it hit Larry Foote on the arm.
That's what I thought. Injured player down. Oh, the Lions with another injury. They've gotten a lot of players banged up in this game. That's the defensive tackle Joe Cohen, the second-year man out of Florida. He's being checked out. As we mentioned, this is a milestone game for Brett Favre. 300 consecutive starts.
Incredible.
Regular season and playoffs. And look at the Ironmen in the other sports. For Cal Ripken in baseball, 2,632 consecutive games. A.C. Green in the NBA, 1,192. Doug Jarvis in the NHL, 964. Ricky Rudd, NASCAR, 788 consecutive starts.
Well, we all know Cal Ripken. You got to ask yourself, what's the exchange rate for Brett Favre? I mean, Brett Favre has got 11 guys trying to knock his head off every play on defense. Cal Ripken, great in what he did in baseball, 2,632 games. I would think this, if you're going to do an exchange rate, I'll give Brett Favre 15,000 baseball games. If he was playing that sport, his durability, Sam, has been absolutely incredible.
What about pitchers throwing in Cal Ripken's head? Chris Cluey with the punt. Good high kick. And on the return, Dennis Northcutt is out of bounds at around the 20-yard line at the 19. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's just amazing. The ratio would be through the roof. And, you know, Brett Favre has joked about, since that surgery on his shoulder, that his arm, you talk about a pitcher, he said he feels like he's 10 or 15 years younger. It's the rest of the body that goes, and that's why he doesn't dye or color his hair. He said, you know, I have trouble acting my age sometimes, but certainly on every down, playing the position that he plays, the people that are taking shots at him, for him to be able not only to start and play, but to be effective is amazing.
Absolutely. Kevin Smith and Jerome Felton in the backfield from the 19. Stafford, and they got him. Wrapped up, sacked for the second time. Kevin Williams with his 6th sack of the season. He leads all defensive tackles in sacks.
And once he sinks that right shoulder in on the rip, right around Peterman, watch as he gets his right shoulder in the rip play, gets the left hand up, sinks that shoulder in, and once he does that, it's over. He's got the ability to roll his hips through and finish. And right there was a great example of why Kevin Williams is looked at as maybe the best defensive tackle in the pro game.
Loss of 6, back to the 13. Stafford out of the shotgun, 3 wide receivers. Northcutt in as the 3rd. Quick release, low throw, good grab made by Calvin Johnson at the 21-yard line. It was maybe knee high, maybe lower than that. 8-yard pickup.
Very good job by Calvin Johnson going down and digging it out.
7 catches, 80 yards for Calvin Johnson in the game. And another injured player.
It's like Stephen Peterman down there, the right guard.
Peterman slow to get up. Dylan Gandy, number 65, has come in to replace him as Peterman needs some help.
Well, he just got his right knee rolled up. Ben Lieber was coming on a blitz up inside, it looked like, and as Kevin Williams was rushing by him, looks like Ben Lieber just kind of falls into the leg of Stephen Peterman. Okay, there's the Williams on Peterman. Here's Lieber here coming up the middle, and watch 51 as he gets tripped up there and falls down right into the right lower leg of Stephen Peterman. You saw the tweak there, and that's where the injury happened.
Oh, he's in some pain. You can see that. Earlier it was Gosder Sherilis who was hurt, but he returned to the game.
Yeah, that didn't look good right there. He is in obvious excruciating pain. He's getting himself off the field. And I think a lot of linemen have that mentality that I'm not getting carted off here. No matter what I have to do, I'm getting to the sideline. Now he may have to say, you know what? Look, he wants to get there, Sam. He's not waiting for the card.
That looks bad. Stephen Peterson limping off with a stiff right leg. Can pin that knee. A lot of pain. Lions have gotten banged up in this game. Injuries in the secondary, injuries on the offensive line. They're hanging in there, down by 7, late third quarter.
And you got to look at, I mean, they just give up that sack to Kevin Williams a couple of plays ago. And they're one of those teams around the league now that if they give up a sack on a particular drive, their chances of scoring, Sam, are at 0. So we'll see if they can buck that trend and get themselves down the field and get into the end zone with a touchdown.
On 3rd and 8. Blitz coming. Stafford throws. And the catch is made. No. Johnson had it, dropped it. 6 drops in the game, and Johnson was shaken up. And he's slow to get up.
And Mediu Williams was coming from the deep safety. Double coverage. Good job by Stafford. He's got pressure in his face. Jared Allen bearing down on him. Makes a great throw, and you could see there Mediu Williams coming from the back. Here's the pressure, and then watch, oh man, big hit. And watch as you see Mediu Williams was the guy that came over the top, Sam, and put a nasty shot on the back of the helmet of Calvin Johnson.
Peterman going off to the locker room. Well, Jared Allen hasn't had a sack, but he got a big piece of Matthew Stafford on that last hit. On the release, Stafford hanging in there. 6th punt of the game for Nick Harris.
The thing about Jared, though, is you can block him for 50 plays. You might make 3 mistakes, and he's going to end up getting the quarterback 3 times.
Harris gets it away. Good kick, backing up. Darius Reynaud from the 26. A little stiff arm, and then he takes a hit when he was out of bounds. You hear the crowd reaction. He's out of bounds around the 38-yard line. 52-yard punt, 10-yard return. Ever since the Lions had the long drive for a touchdown to get to within 7, the Vikings defense has come up strong. Let's see, he's out of bounds there.
Clearly, that should have been called. Looked like Zach Follett is the guy that came over and got the initial hit once Reynaud was out of bounds. The officials just missed it.
Stafford. Boy, he is facing a tough test from the Vikings, and he is hanging in there. Now from the 39, Brett Favre. Adrian Peterson. No, it was Chester Taylor. Taylor in the lineup with the carry. Welcome back to Mall of America Field. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. Start of the 4th quarter. 2nd and 9 for the Vikings.
158.
Off the play fake. Favre gets time. and puts it up deep. Way down for Sidney Rice. He's out there. He caught it. And he is down at the 4-yard line. Big throw, big catch. He beat Coach Simpson on the play, and Sidney Rice does it again, this time 57 yards.
Well, this is the Adrian Peterson factor. Look at the linebackers in the play action. Now everybody's got to get on their horse and start running. Sidney Rice has already run by Coach Simpson, and Brett Favre at 40 years old has still got a big-time arm. That thing went 64 yards in the air, Sam, to complete down to the 5-yard line to Sidney Rice.
Career high 202 yards for Sidney Rice. Here's Peterson stuffed in the backfield. That's a loss on the play back to the 8-yard line. Good defensive work up front by the Detroit Lions. Look at the numbers for Sidney Rice. A career game for him.
Oh, he's become the go-to guy. And again, it's the Adrian Peterson factor. Look at the play action. Everybody bites up. Now Brett's got time to survey the field, unloads it. And I think if you talk to the Jets fans and you go back to last year, that's what Brett was missing. It was the accuracy. He still had the velocity. He could still throw it with that biceps issue, but it was the accuracy that was off. Since he's got that bicep tendon repaired, he has absolutely been terrific with his accuracy.
3 tight ends in for the Vikings on 2nd and goal. The play fake. Favre throwing. Touchdown. Jeff Dugan. They went 3 tight ends and he hit Dugan. Dugan's 2nd touchdown catch of the season. Brett Favre in the pinch has made it happen when they need him, and that's what's been building. When he played the Lions early in the season, Jim Schwartz said he was just managing the game. Now it's Favre stepping up as a leader. They needed a big play. He provided a couple of big ones. Flag on the play on the extra point.
And they just lost Jeff Dugan in coverage. Concentrating
12 players on the defense. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff, 5 yards. Try is good.
Vikings have opened it back up to a 2-touchdown lead, 24-10, as Ryan Longwell kicks it off to Phillip Buchanan. With Derek Williams injured, Buchanan in the return, but he won't return here. He takes a knee 5 yards deep in the end zone.
Here's the touchdown, and it's all boot action, so it's Favre out here. Here's Dugan. He's just going to run a crossing route, and the linebackers lose him. Schenkel going to run the corner route there. Now look, there's nobody on 83. Nobody. You don't have a linebacker within 7 or 8 yards of him. And Brett Favre, once again, Sam, when he's outside the pocket, he is just lethal. And they're loving it over in Basra.
The infantry unit from Minnesota. That is Ziggy Wolf, the owner of the Minnesota Vikings. His team trying to go 8-1. Lions from the 20-yard line. Stafford throwing the screen pass to Will Heller, the tight end. Couple of blocks, and the big tight end rumbles for a first down just across the 30-yard line. Heller caught the touchdown pass thrown by Matthew Stafford in the 3rd quarter. 4th catch of the game for Will Heller, one-time Seattle Seahawk. Go with 2 tight ends. Now it's Pettigrew and Fitzsimmons. And they put the running back, Kevin Smith, in the slot to the left. Stafford being rushed. And his throw is incomplete, trying to get it to Brandon Pettigrew. The blitz coming from Ben Lieber. And that forced Stafford to rush it a little bit.
Yeah, just an overload blitz. They send more than Detroit can block to that side. And really, I mean, you had the left guard and the left tackle responsible for 3 guys, and Ben Lieber just squeezes it up in between in the B gap there in between the guard and the tackle, and nobody touched him, and Stafford had to unload it early.
See what he's faced, dropping back 38 times, hit 13, hurried 12, sacked twice. Dylan Gandy remains in at right guard for the Lions. Quick out to Calvin Johnson. And he's brought down by Cedric Griffin with help from Medea Williams at the 34-yard line.
And I think when you start talking about the number of hits, and it's not always sacks. I mean, all these hits and all these hurries add up at the end of the day to happy feet for the quarterback. He's out of rhythm. He can never get comfortable. You start looking at adding all those numbers up to the 38 dropbacks, and you're talking well over 50% of the time. That guy Matthew Stafford's getting hit or hurried.
3rd and 6, 3 wide receivers in. Dennis Northcutt, the 3rd wide receiver, with Calvin Johnson and Bryant Johnson. Stafford being rushed, steps up, throws low. Intended for Northcutt, and it'll be 3 and out. Little acknowledgement from Stafford to Ray Edwards, because Ray Edwards has been in the backfield of the Lions a lot today.
He's had a very, very good year. We were talking to Aaron Rodgers last week, quarterback for Green Bay. He said Ray Edwards is the unsung hero of that defense. And guy was a right end before Jared Allen got here. When Jared got here, he moved over to left end. And Sam, when you switch sides, it's a different stance, different hand down, different foot back. And he has made a seamless transition.
Darius went on his deep, good high punt, but they call it back. Flag on the play. Delay of game against the Lions.
Delay of game, number 41, defense. 5-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
Excuse me. Against the Vikings. It's Carl Pema. Don't know what he did to cause the delay of game. But it cost the Vikings 5 yards. It's still 4th and 2. Raynaud in his first game back since week 3 when he was injured in the game against San Francisco. A quiet afternoon. A punt toward the sideline. And a fair catch called for at the 13-yard line. Another injury for the Lions in the secondary. Calvin Pearson is injured. That's 4 defensive backs injured today. And their secondary coach, Tim Walton, with a look of concern. Marvin White has come in at safety. Chester Taylor with a good run on 1st down. On 1st down, it's Chester Taylor again. Little cutback. Fights his way for a couple of yards across the 25 to the 26. Vikings have 433 yards total offense in the game. Sidney Rice has had a huge game as the wide receiver. He's caught 2 43-yard passes, 1 56-yard pass, and becomes the 4th Vikings wide receiver in history with over 200 yards receiving. The record is 210, the team record held by Sammy White. Taylor and Tahi in the backfield. Off the fake, Favre throws, completes it to Percy Harvin. Nice cutback, a hard hit, he stayed on his feet. Here goes Harvin. Shoved out of bounds by Will James. Percy Harvin not only showing his speed, but how about his strength? What a hit he took.
Well, he is so tough and explosive, and that's where he's underrated. I mean, the guy's an old running back, and here he is in the slot. He's just going to sit out in the zone, but watch what he does to get away from Peterson, and then now Levy tries to hit him right there. DeAndre Levy never wraps up. He tries to get a knockout shot on Percy Harvin and never wraps his arms, and Harvin ends up getting about an extra 30 or 40 yards.
DeAndre Levy with the hit. Harvin bounces off a 40-yard play. Pass and run. Little pass, and suddenly Percy Harvin makes it a big play. Chester Taylor remains in. Play fake. Favre throwing wide open. Vicente Shenko, and he's tripped up as he tried to hurdle Philip Buchanan. Buchanan got a piece of him, and he's down inside the 15.
And again, it's the bootleg play. We've seen 3 or 4 of them in this game, and they've all been successful. Shenko this time comes from the backside, tight end position. Brett Favre knows he's going to be in the middle of the field on a drive route. And look at the accuracy.
21-yard gain. Brett Favre has now passed for 342 yards and no interceptions. He's thrown only 3 interceptions all season. Dugan motions. Play fake. They pick up the blitz. Favre throws, and it's incomplete. A little behind Bernard Berrien, he got out looking for a call on Buchanan, but no call. Brett Favre, 490 for the Vikings, rather 495 yards total offense, averaging 9.5 yards per play. One of the top offensive teams in the league coming in, and they have added to that.
And you mentioned the 3 sacks. He is taking less sacks than he ever has in his career before. And a lot of it is just the receivers he's got getting the ball out on time. The offensive line has provided nice protection for him, but his ball security, Sam, has been terrific.
And the whistles blow. Delay of game on the Vikings.
5-yard penalty, still second down.
And he'll take the sacks now and keep the interceptions down. And look at there. I mean, first 18 seasons of his career, 1 sack every 30 attempts, every 30 throws. Right now he's sitting at 1 pick every 85 throws. That's incredible.
The fewest interceptions he's thrown in a season are 17. He's got only 3, and this is game 9. 12 penalties.
And there's the guy right there responsible for getting here, Brad Children.
12 penalties in the game for the Vikings. Quick outside to Berrien. And he is taken out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Philip Buchanan covering Bernard Berrien.
How about all the weapons at Favre's disposal this year with Minnesota? And that's why when you were talking about Percy Harvin, I'm happy with my role, just happy to be here, being one of the guys. I mean, there are weapons everywhere when you talk about the running backs, including Chester Taylor, the tight end play.
3 tight ends
that all make plays, and then the wide receivers who have really stepped up, being led by Sidney Rice, and of course the development, Sam, with Percy Harvin.
Adrian Peterson back in on 3rd and 12. Harvin's in the backfield. Swing it out to Peterson, and he's tripped up. That's a big tackle by Philip Buchanan. Otherwise, Peterson turns that into a big gain and maybe a touchdown.
See that look he was just giving Philip Buchanan? You're lucky you got me there, because I may have been making a house call. And that's one thing Philip Buchanan was known for earlier in his career with the Raiders as a first-round pick, went over to Houston. He's a guy that didn't want to tackle. Well, he went to Tampa over the last couple of years and became a much better tackler, and you saw it there.
And he's limping off. I mean, the Lions have really taken a pounding in this game, suffered a lot of injuries. Now a 35-yard field goal try for Ryan Longwell out of Kluwe's hold, and it's right through. See the different weapons Tim was talking about? That's who touched the ball on that drive for 3 points. Brett Favre spreads it around. He's connected with 7 different receivers today.
Yeah, and when you got a guy with those kind of weapons and Brett's ability to execute like that, it's so hard to stop.
Dennis Northcutt on the return is brought down.
Purple Haze has got a little flash to it. Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
That pass may have been tipped. It was, and it falls incomplete. And Stafford took another hit on the late blitz coming.
Purple Rain's got to be in there.
Yeah.
You know, Prince is from the Twin Cities area, excuse me.
Yep. The mullet. 3 guys in a mullet.
Oh.
You like that one?
That's classic.
3 wide receivers. Lions down 27-10. One outstanding drive in the second half.
This is where it's hard to stop Jared Allen.
Throw a screen pass, and Allen came off the block and knocked the ball down.
He is so bright and so intelligent. I'm telling you, he's been setting Jeff Backus up all game, because that's how he does it. Watch him just look right back inside and almost gets himself an interception. He's already scored a touchdown once this year on a fumble recovery. And when they start getting one-dimensional offensively for guys like Jared Allen with his kind of ability and his desire to get to the quarterback, hard to keep that mullet off the QB.
There you go. Crowd gets loud. It's 3rd and 10 for the Lions. As the Vikings defense does its job. Here they come. Stafford steps up and throws, and a good throw and catch. Pettigrew, the tight end, with a grab up the 38-yard line. Nice play by Matthew Stafford with a big rush coming. He stepped right up into it, and a good throw to Brandon Pettigrew, the tight end.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with him. He is tough. He's got thick skin. Clearly, he's got ability, but I mean, everything he's been through today with getting a lot of hits. And that was a very good play under pressure, climbing the ladder up in the pocket and delivering the ball for a first down.
On first down, Stafford pump fake, throws it deep into coverage for Calvin Johnson. It's broken up. 2 men there. Jamarcus Sanford, the safety, was there to help break it up along with Carl Pema.
And he takes another hit. Matthew Stafford on that play. That time it was Brian Robinson who spins off. There's 96. He'll spin off on the inside on Manny Ramirez and get a nice hit on Matthew Stafford.
The thing to realize, and we talked about it, all the weapons that Brett Favre has, Matthew Stafford doesn't have those weapons. He does have Calvin Johnson. And Kevin Smith has done a nice job, but the depth of talent right now isn't there to help out the young quarterback. On second down, pressure again. In trouble, they got him wrapped up. Ray Edwards was there. And Jared Allen helped out as well. 3rd sack of the game for the Vikings, who lead the NFL with 34. He has dropped back 45 times, and he has been hit and hurried 33 of those 45. Upcoming second game of the doubleheader. Dallas at Green Bay, Philadelphia at San Francisco, Seattle at Arizona. Stafford, pressure again. Got away from Kevin Williams. Runs gingerly on that sore right knee and gets out of bounds across the 40-yard line. You can see he's not fluid with his running.
Well, he's wearing
still
a brace.
Feeling that right knee.
And he's got a brace on his right knee that's holding his right kneecap in place. So he's definitely, from the waist down, limited, to say the least. Boy, he's tough, though. Fix his shoulder pad for him. Come on, fellas.
Yeah. It is 4th and 4 after the 15-yard pickup. They've got to get to the 47 for a first down, and they'll go for it. Maurice Morris in the backfield. 3 wide receivers. Everybody out. Stafford throws low. And that's that for this possession. Lions go off. Stafford upset. Nobody helped him out with his jersey. And the Vikings defense with another stop. They played a good game. Tavares Jackson is in quarterback. Brett Favre's day is complete. And that pass is dropped by Sidney Rice, who obviously can only catch passes thrown by Brett Favre.
That's it.
Good game for Brett Favre. 20 for 30, 344 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Brett Favre with his 3rd 300-yard game of this season, 58th career 300-yard passing game, and the 100th time he's had a passer rating of over 100.
How about 4 plays over 40 yards? It's just in the passing game.
Yeah. Chester Taylor carrying.
And remember what I said in the open about Brett and what they want to do in the second half of the season. Want to drive the ball down the field more in the passing game. We saw that today, evidenced by 4 over 40 yards to the receivers. More edge plays, more bootlegs. They hadn't run a lot of that in the first 8 games of the season. We've seen a lot of that today with a lot of success. So it's just going to be that much more difficult for the next 7 opponents to prepare for the plethora of talents and abilities and firepower that the Vikings can put on the field.
This is the start of a 3-game homestand for the Vikings, who have Seattle and Chicago coming in the next 2 weeks. 4 wide receivers in on 3rd and 9. Tavares Jackson throws incomplete, wide of Greg Lewis. Receiving in team history. Chris Cluey aiming for the sideline, and it's out of bounds around the 10-yard line. We'll mark it at the 8. Good punt. There's Sidney Rice with an outstanding game.
How about, and listen, let's give some credit. And Sidney's been outstanding. He was hurt last year, and it's obvious that he's healthy and he's taken off. But I think a lot of credit to Rick Spielman, the guy who drafts people here in terms of the general manager, and Brad Childress, because remember, South Carolina kids, they got bit by Troy Williamson. They drafted Troy Williamson in the first round. It did not go good. So they went right back to that school and grabbed Sidney Rice, and this guy is absolutely taken off.
He's probably doing push-ups because he dropped that pass by Tavares Jackson. I'm telling you, that's, hey.
Give me 50.
That's right.
Fist push-ups, too.
The Lions from the 8. The handoff to Aaron Brown. Excuse me, to Maurice Morris. Now this is a team that number 12, Percy Harvin, great first-round pick. Versatile player who can run the ball, catch the ball, return the ball.
I just find it hard, no matter who they match up against now, with all the development of those weapons, where any defense in this league is going to have a matchup problem against the Minnesota Vikings.
And let's remember, they have a guy that most people feel is the best running back in the NFL.
Well, how many times, Sam, do you think Brett Favre has played games when the defense comes in and say, our biggest ambition is to stop the running back, not to stop Favre?
Right.
That's been a huge feather in his cap here with the Minnesota Vikings, with Adrian Peterson right behind him.
Brian Robinson couldn't play without the shoe, went off to get it back on. Vikings offense, 158 yards rushing, 340 yards passing, and total offense of 498 yards. For those of you in the home markets of the late games, we'll be switching you to the kickoff of your game right after this message. 2nd and 6 for the Lions. Stafford throws to Dennis Northcutt, and he's pulled out of bounds by Tyrell Johnson just across the 20-yard line. For the Lions, they will be home next week against the Cleveland Browns, and then the Green Bay Packers come in on Thanksgiving Day. And the education of Matthew Stafford continues, but he is impressive. He hangs in there. He shows the toughness. He's got a good arm. Swings it out to Maurice Morris. He's knocked out of bounds by Cedric Griffin.
Excuse me, Minnesota's got 6 or 7 guys, Sam, that can easily get to the quarterback.
Stafford hit as he throws. E.J. Henderson coming late, and he got a shoulder into Matthew Stafford as he released. Another hit on Stafford. The pass incomplete.
And Leslie Frazier hasn't dialed down the blitzes at all with those two linebackers. And a little cross dog there. Greenway comes up on the inside, takes the guard down with him. E.J. Henderson comes free, and again, Stafford, which has been the story all day, when he's thrown the football, he has gotten drilled.
Good game for Ray Edwards. He's shown up everywhere when they needed a big play. Pressure on the quarterback. 3 wide receivers for the Lions on 3rd and 6.
I think it's time for a Manny's brownie for Ray Edwards.
Yeah. And the pass is complete. And a first down. Good catch made by Brian Johnson. A first down at the 32. One of the reasons Ray Edwards' game has improved is he hired himself a nutritionist and a personal trainer. He's gotten into great shape. His body fat is way down.
He's cut his body fat basically in half.
It was 16%. It's maybe lower than that in single digits. But his nutritionist does let him get 1 brownie after the game at Manny's Steakhouse. Stafford running. There's a flag back at the 25-yard line as Stafford gets up to the 38. Jared Allen on the stop.
I think this one's going on Minnesota.
That's one number that Brad Childress will be very upset about, all the penalties.
Holding, number 96, defense. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
13 penalties in the game for the Minnesota Vikings, a season high.
I don't know. Brian Robinson's arguing his point here. I think if any holding on a passing play, it's to help out your teammate and pulling an offensive player one way so that you can free up a teammate on a pass rush, but be a free runner. But Stafford took off and ran. The flag came in late, and Robinson doesn't like it.
It is a first down at the 43. As the Vikings show blitz, then Ben Lieber backs off. They rush 4. Stafford outside of Dennis Northcutt, out of bounds, just short of midfield. New Orleans Saints won in St. Louis. Tough game Rams hung in there with them. Saints won 28-23. They're 9-0 on the season. The Vikings at 7-1, looking to go 8-1 if they hold this lead for another 3 minutes 14 seconds. As I mentioned, those two teams do not meet in regular season play, so they'll be building up for a run toward the playoffs. Stafford gets time, throws, and through the hands of Calvin Johnson. Went up to get it, couldn't hold on.
He's been in a funk for a couple of weeks since he's been back, and you don't know if it's his health with his leg injury and the ability to explode and get up in the air, but his body language has not been good in this football game. I've seen Calvin Johnson walking around with his head down, and he's had to have dropped at least 3 footballs in this game today that were easily catchable for a guy of his caliber.
And he's caught 8, so you know they're throwing the ball to him. Stafford trying to build a rapport with his top receiver.
And that's the support that we talked about that Matthew Stafford was going to need. He's going to need it from his run game, from his wide receivers, his defense, and his special teams. And frankly, Sam, he hasn't got it.
Kevin Smith takes the pass, but a good tackle by Cedric Griffin brings him down short of the first down. That's a good tackle by the cornerback, who's had a nice game. If there was concern, as the coaching staff of the Vikings during the bye week talked about, they wanted better tackling. And I think for the most part they've gotten that in this game. Childress, there's no doubt, have to address the penalty situation. Here's 4th and 1 for the Lions as they try to keep things alive. Everybody out, and the pass thrown too high. Stafford looked downfield, didn't have anybody, and by the time he spun around, he threw it too high to Kevin Smith.
Give him some credit for his toughness, as I said, hanging in there and delivering the football with guys in his face. I mean, you know, yeah, you'd like that a little bit better, but you'd like that number much better. But this is the one you got to like. No interceptions for a guy who has been drilled over 30 times in this football game.
And that's after he threw 5 interceptions last week in Seattle. 51 pass attempts, a season high for Matthew Stafford. Tavares Jackson, the quarterback. Chester Taylor carrying. Maybe a yard on the play. Adrian Peterson, 18 carries, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the star running back of the Vikings. That's the defensive line that's played well again. Kevin Williams, Pat Williams to his left, and Ray Edwards sits down.
Well, that's the awe right there. That's the shock and the awe. Allen, Williams, and Edwards at the end. Sideline, and I think he's with me, Sam. Shock and awe is the one that we're going with today.
Chester Taylor thrown for a loss back at the 47-yard line. The Vikings took the opening kickoff of the game, had a good drive down inside the 5-yard line. It stalled. They settled for a field goal. They had a couple of fumbles in that first half, but they pulled their game together, and Brett Favre started to come up big with some big passing. Don't forget, game 2 of the doubleheader. Dallas with a 4-game winning streak at Green Bay, and the Packers need a win to try and stay close to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are about to go 8-1, and the Packers are 4-4. They need a win. Brett Favre, boy, he's having one of the best seasons of his career.
It's amazing too at 40 years old. One thing about him, and I think Brad Childress told us this, and you know, I've known Brett for a long time, is he's a tireless worker. And that's what Brad Childress said about him. He said he knew how he could throw, and he was good at this and that. Going to be a future Hall of Famer, but the guy's work ethic is second to none.
Tavares Jackson turned around. There was a man in his face, and that was Julian Peterson. And a flag on the play, and Peterson is going to get a roughing the passer call.
Helmet to helmet.
The passer, number 59 of the defense, contact high to the quarterback. 15-yard penalty, first down.
The Vikings home next week to the Seattle Seahawks, and then the following week the Chicago Bears come in. The Lions will be home to the Cleveland Browns next week, and then home on Thanksgiving Day. That game on Fox against the Green Bay Packers.
You know, we were talking about all the weapons and the development of Percy Harvin and being a rookie and really having an outstanding year, and arguably the rookie of the year at this point. Brett Favre sent him a text message during the off week. You're not a rookie anymore, Harvin.
That's right. That's right. And now I'll just run out the clock. Today's game produced by Mike Burks, directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate Director Tom Yohe, Broadcast Associate Eric Mandia, Technical Producer is Frank Phillips, Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior Producer is Bill Brown. The Executive Producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Spotter in the booth is, as always, Gary Lynn. Our statistician in the booth, Emmett McGuire. Our computer stats man is Mark Sazda. And as always, Ty Yohe on the Fox box to keep it going.
Is that 300 games in the book? 300 games in the book now for Brett Favre?
300 consecutive starts.
Holy smokes.
He's had 100 career games where his passer rating is over 100. The smiles are for the win. The Vikings. And are they happy in Basra in Iraq? The 34th Infantry Division of the Minnesota National Guard. We wish you well. Be safe, and we hope you enjoyed today's game. We know you were rooting hard for your Minnesota Vikings who came through, and we certainly enjoyed cutting away and seeing you, and we wish you all well. The brave men and women who serve our country so proudly. That's it. The Minnesota Vikings come off their bye week. They're 17-4 after a bye, and they beat the Detroit Lions for the 12th consecutive time here in the Dome.